As Nigeria celebrates 25 years in space, the Director General, National Space Research and Development Agency, Dr. Matthew Adepoju, says that space technology remains a panacea for solving terrestrial challenges and improving the quality of life of Nigerians. Well, he said this on the second day of a series of events to mark more than 2 decades of space technology. Dr. Adepoju also says most problems confronting the nation on land could be better solved through research on zero gravity, and that's in space. The agency called for funding to keep the country permanently in space and enable Nigeria to take part in the industrial revolution powered by space technology.
I know that the space program is not where it should be, but with the new momentum, with the new DG, and with the support that they are getting from Mr. President, who wants to play his active role as the chairman of the Space Council, I think we are going to move forward again. We should remain permanently in space. In other words, we should have more satellites in space, both in the area of Earth observation and communication satellites. We should also begin to manufacture some of the space systems locally.
The only way we can deliver the Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President is by leveraging on space science and technology. This is the 4th industrial revolution. The three of us have agreed that we put the resources of the federal government together, we leverage on the capacity of private sector to create innovative ideas with our engineers and scientists and make sure that we serve the country far, far better.
This celebration is long overdue. One of the things I'm grateful for is that we have brought all the stakeholders together. And we're not just talking about our achievements of what we've done in the past 25 years. We're talking about the future, how we want to reposition the space industry in Nigeria for the next 25 years. That is the great thing about this celebration.
I was fortunate to be the head of the agency now. I don't have any option than for the 3 agencies to come together and work as one for the benefit of our great country. So we have up to 50 officers that have been trained in space science and technology in Nigeria, and we are still training more.
The Director General of the National Space Research and Development Agency, Dr. Matthew Adepoju, joins us now. Good evening, Dr. Adepoju, and thanks for joining us. Congratulations. As Nigeria is celebrating 25 years in space science, President Bola Tinubu also, while celebrating that milestone, emphasized the role of space technology when it comes to addressing critical national issues like security, agriculture. And you've unveiled a 3-point agenda to position the agency sort of as a globally competitive space agency. Talk us through that 3-point agenda and also what it means for Nigeria to be positioned permanently in space.
Oh, thank you very much. I think we are lucky to have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the chairman of Nigerian Space Council. And we are very, very fortunate to have the minister that we have in the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, in person of Chief Uche Geoffrey Naji, who has been able to break all the barriers that used to hold us back. Because I used to say something, there must be Holy Trinity between the President, the Minister, and the Director General for us to make progress. Without this Holy Trinity, we aren't going anywhere. But we are lucky to have that right now because my minister understands the importance of the space technology. More importantly, the president is a man that knows the very, very, very backbone of national development. And that's why most of our memo doesn't take time before the president assented his approval on them.
And that 3-point agenda, what does it entail?
The 3-point agenda is we are running agency that we want it to be globally competitive because on the space science and technology, there is international collaboration and cooperation that is very, very essential. We cannot work in isolation. And on our agency, we have extremely highly trained engineers and scientists all over the world. Those trained in America, those trained in Europe, those trained in Russia, those trained in China, and all over the place. So we have them on our platform, and we need to enable them and allow them to live their dreams and come to be able to serve Nigeria much better.
Okay, let's talk about the socio-economic dividends of being in space, really. 25 years of being in space as Nigeria. What are the tangible results? How has it affected us in all of these socio-economic dividends that we have listed earlier?
Okay, luckily enough, I grew through the ranks and file in the agency, becoming the director for strategic space applications. There are so many projects in which we have used our space assets to deliver for Nigeria. And I'll mention a few.
Okay.
One of them is the polio eradication, which we partner with Primary Healthcare Agency to put trackers on the fascinators, because oftentimes the jump houses, they don't deliver as expected. But by the time we put tracker on them, we were able to actually do the fascination. And when we come back to the laboratory, we analyze the areas in which the coverage didn't go to. And then we do mop-up with the Primary Healthcare Development Agency, and which led to the declaration of Nigeria polio-free some few years ago. And in the area of agriculture too, we have done incredibly well with the precision agriculture, and then we have a crop watch platform where we use the satellite imageries to monitor the earth condition of the farmland across the country. And in other areas as well, we've done a lot of work in the area of forestry management. We were fortunate to be sponsored by UNFAO in 2014 to carry out the deforestation study of Cross River State. And during our research is when we discovered that the forest between Cameroon and Nigeria is the 5th biggest forest in the whole world. And we name it the 5th oxygen pipe of the world. That forest is an international asset, and it must be protected at all costs. Some of the trees in that forest, they are more than 100 years old. And these are the things, when we did the model, because we have to model the carbon dioxide and then the oxygen, the forest release quantum of oxygen and draw a lot of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And that's why it is very, very important for Nigeria and Cameroon government to protect that asset. It doesn't belong to us alone. It is an asset of international
importance. And to do all this good work, you need funding.
Of course, yes.
The president has called for improved budgetary support and also more private sector involvement to strengthen Nigeria's space program. And we have that projected $1.8 trillion growth of global space economy by 2035. How is the agency planning to attract more private investment, to integrate private sector into critical areas in space?
Earlier on, you asked about the 3-point agenda. One of the 3-point agenda is to mainstream the private sector to drive the Nigerian space ecosystem. Because all over the world, even United States, with the big budget they have with NASA, they realize that government cannot do it alone. And that's why they mainstream the private sector. And this is a good call for our captain of industry in Nigeria. There's so much money to make in the space sector. When you see all the billionaires around the world, they are moving into the space sector because they know it's capital intensive, but the reward is outlandishly rewarding. And we are calling on Nigerian captain of industry to look into this ecosystem and invest, and the investment is guaranteed with huge return on investment. Okay,
interesting. Doctor, I did not hear you mention the role of being in space on our security. Okay. Is that an aspect you have also contributed to? I would like to know. But let me also ask you, because the president has approved 4 new Earth observation satellites. Yeah. Tell us a little more about this. When is it going to happen? What exactly is it expected to do? And of course, what's the role of being in space? Does it help our security at all?
Of course, yes. Oftentimes, when there's a little challenge in security, that's when it makes the headlines. 200 times, 500 times that the technology has helped to keep us safe. We don't get to know about it. And because of the importance of the space science and technology in the security of our dear nation. That's why NASRDA supported the National Assembly to establish the Defense Space Administration, which is primarily meant for the security sector. And we are supporting with training, with data, with a lot of things. And you know, there are things we cannot mention on the TV. And some of the things, signal analytics, is some of the things that we are doing to check. Because oftentimes, most of the communication between the criminals is not through the regular mobile lines. They use the satellite communication. And by the time we do some analytics, we share some of those information with the military to check. Is this your own gadget? Is this your own network? And then they can do whatever.
Very quickly to those 4 satellites. When are we expected to launch them, and what are they supposed to do? As brief as you can, sir.
The president has given us the charge, and then we are anxiously waiting for the finance and accountant general of the federation to give us the funding. We are ready. Immediately the fund is released, we are looking at between 12 months and 18 months.
What are these satellites to do, these 4 satellites?
They are Earth observation satellites. 3 of them are optical, and then the 4th one is synthetic aperture radar. The essence of synthetic aperture radar is it's more expensive, but it's the one that can see during the night, and then they can penetrate through the forest. And that is very good for our economic zone. Especially most of activities of weaponry and criminal activity down south. It's a big challenge for optical satellites.
Dr. Adepoju, reflecting on 25 years of milestone from launching Nigeria Sat-1 to developing now cutting-edge satellites, what do you see for the Nigeria space ecosystem in the future, 25 years later, 50 years later?
Sincerely speaking, 25 years down the line, we want our spaceport to be operational. We have locational advantage when it comes to launch services. And this is one of the top priority on our agenda. Our spaceport, whereby we will launch satellite for other countries, African countries, European countries. And of course, I know these are huge investment, but the profit on that, we are even talking to some private sector who want to walk the talk with us.
Great. There's a lot of international collaborations. Apart from the NatSat-X that was launched with 25 Nigerian scientists and engineers, we'd like to build on that capacity. I just want to see more of that. But we have to thank you so much. Dr. Matthew Adepoju is the Director General of the National Space Research and Development Agency, otherwise known as NASRDA. Thank you and congratulations again.